Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Tekken retrospective soul searching, where I take a look at every single Soul Calibur and Soul Edge game ever released and review them in a retrospective fashion in a chronological order. And obviously if last week it was Soul Edge on the PlayStation 1, you know full well you have to talk about Soul Calibur today. And I am 100% playing the Dreamcast version versus the PlayStation 1 based arcade original, because not only is it just a better, more enhanced version of the game, it is one of the best Dreamcast fighting games of all time, one of the best fighting games of all time, and one of the prettiest games of all time all mixed up into one. This is just a Hall of Fame first ballot level good game that I've been playing for over 20 years and are going to continue to play basically until I give up on gaming. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, you got a Patreon link down below as well. But what can I say about Soul Calibur that probably already hasn't been said even by me, because I covered this game like 5 years ago. This just absolutely showed not only the promise of Dreamcast and a new era of graphics in home consoles, it also showed where the fighting game genre in 3D could go. The speed and fluidity of Soul Calibur still feels like perfection to this day. There is absolutely nothing as far as the combat or engine here that I would even think that could possibly be improved. So in that instance, this is just the perfect type of fighting game. I have zero notes, it just does it for me every single time. And even though Soul Edge on the PlayStation 1 was a ton of fun and a breath of fresh air because we didn't get that many fighting games with weapons, Soul Calibur basically just dials up everything to 11 and takes the franchise in so many fun new directions. But right off the top, this was just a graphical showcase not only of what Namco could do as a developer, but what the Sega Dreamcast could do compared to PlayStation 1, Sega Saturn, and Nintendo 64. This is probably the most dramatic generational leap ever, outside of going from 2D to 3D back in the early 90s, and it is just incredible still today. This game looks spectacular and introduces us to characters like Ivy, who will basically become almost synonymous with the game in and of itself. But the fun part about this game is it introduces new characters, new movesets, new mechanics, but still stays faithful to the arcade and PlayStation 1 original that really did launch the franchise. But if you watch this footage, then you watch the episode on Soul Edge back to back, you're going to see just how much more fluid this game truly is. The sense of fluidity in the animations, the characters overall, and how they move on screen. This just feels like about as close to real life as you could possibly get in 1999. And when you first saw this on a CRT television in your living room or bedroom as a kid, you didn't think graphics could get any better. And honestly, if graphics never improved beyond this, as far as 3D is concerned, I would be totally happy. But of course, this game is known for just being a gorgeous title that really showed what the Dreamcast could do, but there is an entire fighting game underneath it, and really a fighting game lives or dies on its mechanics. The prettiest fighting game in the world isn't going to be worth its weight if it doesn't have fun gameplay behind it. And the best part about Soul Calibur is it 100% brings everything to the table plus extra when it comes to the actual engine. All of the movesets and characters are diverse and varied. Somebody like Ivy here has her sword, but it does have a razor blade extension for those longer ranged attacks. All of the different grapples are going to definitely put you in a good situation if you can land them, but if you whiff them, you're going to get punished for it. And that really is the nice trade-off in this game. Every single move has a counter, every single offense has a defense, and you can get punished for making mistakes at the wrong time. But if you're playing in the right manner, you really can just get a perfect against the CPU and move on to the next fight. And honestly, any game that basically gives us Japanese Elvis with nunchucks, that has got to be a 10 out of 10 as far as I am concerned. And this kind of feels a little bit like a Tekken character, because of course this is all based on Namco's fighting games, so you're going to get characters that really do feel like they have a Tekken amalgam out there in the world. That's always fun, just to kind of see the varied characters and how they can kind of trace back to other games in the developer's portfolio. Somebody like Maxi here, the fluidity, the speed, the dancing nature to it just has roots right back to Tekken. And I would say that every single stage and every single character has so much personality here. And now outside of those flat images at the very background of the screen, everything you're seeing in the foreground is fully made up of polygons. The colorways are incredible. All of the vibe and atmosphere is here. It really does feel like that Conan the Barbarian style sword and sandals epic where you have a fighting game mixed in. And the music in this one is even better than in Soul Edge. Go ahead and listen for 45 seconds. I'll be back with more history of the game.
Versus Shanhua. Battle 1, fight! Knockout! Victory strengthens the soul of Ivy. You win!
10 out of 10 music, and that really is the reality for Soul Calibur across the board. It is just a 10 out of 10, and it did expand upon the overall fighting game mechanics as well. The guard impact system has been expanded with a lot more offensive options, and you do have an 8-way run in all of the different directions, because obviously this is a full 3D game. You can go into the foreground and background and kind of circle strafe your opponent to try to get the best possible placement, and your grapples are going to have different effects depending on whether you're grabbing your opponent from the front or the back, and there's different grapples in each direction as well. So pick a character, learn them, and basically go from there. Ivy's always been my main in this game, but I like to mix it up and pick different characters for these reviews, so I'm not just talking about my favorite character, because a lot of characters in here have completely different play styles. Somebody like Astaroth has that massive swinging axe, and I will tell you it's absolutely slow as molasses. There are a lot of opportunities to get punished if you whiff your shot, but because he is a big heavy character, his damage is absolutely through the roof. 3 or 4 good strikes with that axe, and it's going to be the round over for your opponent, whether they're AI-based CPU or a human individual. So maybe if you do like that risk versus reward nature, somebody like Astaroth is the choice for you. For me, I've never really gravitated towards the heavy characters in fighting games. I like the speed and sense of fluidity we get here, and now facing against him, it's a completely different battle fighting a heavy character versus fighting as a heavy character. If you identify his swings and his moves and the actual moves that you can input to attack him or counter him, it's going to almost feel like a free victory. And the interesting thing is this game is more forgiving on its frame inputs than something like Tekken. It allows you to basically have a frame before your move is over to start the next actual combo or move input, letting you have a lot bigger chains and a lot more dramatic looking fight. And that isn't just to get new players into the game and the genre, it also just looks prettier as you're playing the game. Matches here just kind of look like a dance of ballet. You're basically just running around the arena, jumping, slashing, and when you get a good combo in and a good flow in, it looks like you are a professional Soul Calibur player, even if I only play this game basically once a year, and any real pro would destroy me every single time I face them. And that is a nice feedback loop when you're playing a game like this and learning it. That sense of fluidity, the flashiness in the animations, and the feeling that you were just dominating your opponent really do get you hooked back into the game and make you want to play it some more. And just like in Soul Edge when we talked about the floating raft down the river being slightly inspired by Virtual Fighter 2, that makes a comeback here as well. And I do love the real-time lighting model. When blades strike, you're going to get a flash of light, and it is going to show up on your character model as well as on your opponent. Sure, it is baked in, it's not real-time lighting, nothing like ray tracing, but it gives the world a very lived-in feel, and it really does seem like everything is just happening in real time. Now do be aware I am playing this in Flycast to upscale the internal rendering resolution, but if you play this game on a Dreamcast, especially on a VGA monitor, it is absolutely incredible to see. If anything, with the brightness of a good VGA monitor, I recommend you try to do that. You've probably never seen the game look as pretty as you could on VGA. But one more soundtrack sample. I love the music at the end of the game here. 30 seconds and I'll be back and close out the history of Soul Calibur and tell you where we're going next. But enjoy.
This victory strengthened the soul of Ivy. You win! Battle 2, fight!
The epic music just fits perfectly with the boss fight against Inferno here, and I would say Soul Calibur is really just Namco realizing a goal. The original Soul Edge was an incredible game, but Soul Calibur really feels like what they were intending on doing the entire time. And while it's not as big of a leap from Tekken to Tekken 2, because obviously Tekken came first and Soul Edge was based upon the learnings and experience of the developers, it is still a massive innovation in 3D fighting games, and it's still something I would consider to be a perfect game. The only strike I can put against this game is it does have to end at some some point in time. You see the credits scroll, but definitely the artists at Namco knew their target audience and they knew what they wanted to see here. But short of that, this game is just one of those titles. I'll play it once a year, every single year, and I will always have fun with it. And if I have friends over for game nights and they've never played Soul Calibur before and they like fighting games, it is the first title I'm going to put on any system for us to play. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what your opinion is Soul Calibur, and if you've never played it before, do you plan on playing it after you've seen this video? But we're done. It's a perfect game, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.